And I've got to go live in Facebook and YouTube. YouTube looks like we are live. Good to go. Facebook, I need to do this one more time. Facebook always seems to be just like a little bit slow with stuff. All right, we're going to go live there too. Sweet. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Cool. All right, everyone. Welcome to Build with the CEO. It is not 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. It is 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. Well, I guess it's 12 o'clock if you're in like the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But we moved this one up a little bit because I wanted to bring on a guest today to talk about some online workout stuff. So this month on Build has been all about workouts. We've been going through structure and systems and assessments and all that fun stuff. Last week I talked a lot about structure for an offline training facility, specifically small group personal training. But a large portion of the Coach Catalyst coaching base is an online coach. And so I figured let's bring on an online coach that's having a lot of success online and have him share some of our systems. So Nate, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for moving it up for me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Nate, just give us like the quick background just so people have a little bit of context and then we'll get into like some of your systems.
So I've been a coach since 2008. I've been online exclusively since 2015. I've used multiple different like services for delivering workouts, from Excel documents
Right.
to True Coach to Train Heroic, and now finally like working with Coach Catalyst. So this has been by far my favorite way of programming. And like, to be honest with you, like I want to come on here and talk about how dumb I am, because I got your email like 2 weeks ago, which was like, by the way, if you're not subscribed to these emails, they are so much value every single time. I hate opening emails, and I still open all of yours, Trevor. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, but like, so I've been doing a great job with my programming. I really like my systems, and then you dropped a bomb on me in the email about how I can even up level that, and I've been using those, and having my assistant coach use them as well, and just like in saving blocks, and
Hmm.
that's been incredible. So that's is that my background? I don't know.
That's good enough. I like
Yeah.
it. So let's talk a little bit about your structure for your online coaching, because there's lots of different like models for online coaching. So for you, what does your structure look like?
So, well, first of all, like I feel like so when I first started coaching, I would train everybody, right? And then when I started
Hmm.
online coaching, I would again just train everybody. And over the last decade, I've gotten my like target demographic in. So I'm working with men who are entrepreneurs who have limited time and usually want to, accomplish the holy grail of burning fat and building muscle at the same
Hmm.
time. So what's nice about that is that I don't have a lot of people who are like, geriatric clients who need to work on balance, or people who are like premenopausal who need different modalities. So a lot of my people are using the same exercises, the same training structures, which
Right.
allows me to keep my stuff very, very simple.
Well, I mean that's a big thing for a lot of coaches, right? Is figuring out who you want to serve and then just getting narrower and narrower and narrower. Because the cool thing about the online world, right, is your sandbox is essentially everyone that probably speaks English, right, and has the means. So it's a really big sandbox versus if you're a brick and mortar, like you're really like draw a circle 3 to 5 miles around your facility, and that's your market. And so let's talk a little bit about kind of first steps. So you like talk through like, hey, you get a new client that wants to work with you. Like, what's your process in like getting them going?
So they sign up, they make the payment, right? And so then what I do is I will actually show them kind of the back end. I'm like, hey, like we're here. It's Thursday. We're going to start our program for real next Monday. Here are the things I want you to go through, and I'll give them my onboarding process. And previously, my onboarding process was one lesson, which was like 8 videos and a bunch of text. And since
Hmm.
then, I've actually broken that out into 8 lessons. So it's like one every single day, kind of at the right time. And so I can either deliver that as a program over the course of like 8 days, or I can deliver them one at a time because I have them saved separately.
Right.
So kind of depending on what the client needs. Then I'll be like, all right, hey, do you have time on Sunday to go through all of it? Do you want to do it one at a time? and I'll get their commitment to check those boxes off at a specific day and time.
Mm-hmm.
That way I get to kind of educate them on my process, how I'm going to be checking in with them, what they're like, what they can expect in terms of follow up. I give every client, I say, we're gonna, like, me or my assistant coach will follow up within 24 hours of any message, so please send us stuff. And then I talk them through kind of the way I like to do nutrition, the way I like to do training, and the way I like to do like stress and recovery. And one thing that I like about my business is that every single thing that I do, I try to have verbiage for it. So we don't do like exercise or workouts. We do top end failure training. And I try to educate clients on what that looks like and what it means for them in terms of the results they can expect to get if they execute it at this level. I don't do like macros or anything like that. I do energy first fat loss, or like the $1 Million Body Method.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is, I try to like teach them in a way that is unique and creates language that we can all share. Because I feel like a lot of times people are like, I've done macros, I've done keto, I've done Whole30, but I'm like, well, you haven't done energy first fat loss, and that's what we're going to be approaching this. So it just gives them a little bit of like a new lease on, oh, I'm like, they can kind of take it in with fresh eyes.
Right.
So even though energy first fat loss is at its core just carb backloading, it's new, it's fresh, it's interesting, and it helps people, like, I think, avoid the yeah, I already know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to like create some excitement around it. This is brand new, something you've never tried before. Here's how we're going to structure it. Then so I kind of give them the overview of that. I have a handbook that I've created in Canva that keeps just getting bigger and bigger. It started off like 35 pages, now it's like 70 pages, and it goes through this, what I consider like the 6 phases of my program. So they don't have to look through all of it at once, but like that way I can be like, hey, I want you to read page 24 and 25 and get back to me on some of those things where we talk about danger zones or things that are potentially going to come up and get in your way. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot, like, as I've gotten deeper into this process and working with Coach Catalyst, my onboarding process has become a little bit more robust, because I keep, getting the same questions, and then I'll just create a training around that or add that to the book and be like, hey, check this out to get an answer to that question. So
I really like the book. I think that's a really good idea, because it's like the manual for your coaching program, right?
yeah.
And you probably have it broken down into lessons too, where you could just drop a lesson on someone's account. But to have that book, like, it feels legit, right? Like, to an extent. Mm-hmm. Has the naming thing for you always been like part of your like how you deliver things, or was that something you came across later?
That's probably been the last like 3 years. So I worked with this company. It was called Menace. And they wanted to, like, it was this business consulting group. They wanted to have like a fitness arm. So I was like M-Fit. And so what I liked about them is that everything was branded. Everything was their name, their swag, their shirts, their hats. Everything that they did had their stuff on it. Right. And that company imploded because there was some bad people involved and some, people stealing money. But what I learned from that was that, like, there's a lot of power in names and shared vocabulary.
Right.
And so since then, I've been trying to, like, I'm repping the MDB, the $1 Million Body, like, jersey right now. I've got like my shirts, my own hats. Like, when I create something, like, I'll usually print it out, and I have like people don't get necessarily like a deliverable like this, but I'll hold this up and I'll show it, and I'll make sure that it's got my logo on it and different things like that, just so that everything that I do is kind of like is seamless. And which,
right.
Like, and if you were listening to this right now and you're using the Coach Catalyst app and you haven't like explored the idea of a branded app, I would really encourage you to look at that, because that is very, very powerful when you tell your clients, oh yeah, don't go download Coach Catalyst, go download the Tom Smith Fitness app. Mm-hmm. Like, how cool is that when someone's like, oh my gosh, like, you have your own app? Like, I get that question all the time. You have your own app? I'm like, yeah, my team's pretty good. They're always adding stuff to it,
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's I tell most coaches, like, there's 2 types of people I think need branded apps. One is if you are brick and mortar, where you legit have like a brand in your local community. And then 2, if you could call it a high ticket coach, or call it a coach that charges more than a couple $100 for coaching, because like we need to match the service with the price, right? And so someone isn't going to pay $600 a month and then just kind of get random stuff. I want you to do this over here and that over there. It's like you have to have everything tight. And it's cool watching the evolution. I think the nice thing that you said too, for new coaches that are listening, is like, you don't need this from day one. This is part of like the evolution of coaching, right? And so like you got clients on day one because you were providing value and you could actually solve their problems, right? And then as you grew as a business, you started to tighten up these other things to make it a little bit more like a brand. But we don't want coaches to get delayed in trying to build the brand and making all this perfect before you actually get any clients. Like get
And
some
I'm
clients
probably on
first.
Million Dollar Body like 5.0 right now.
Uh-huh.
I have like I look back and I have a folder in my computer of Million Dollar Body handbooks, and I've got 12 of them. You know, I'm on iteration 12 of just the handbook. So like it's always growing. But if you like the branded app only being like what, like $600 a month extra, it's not bad.
That's it. So for you, talking about like workout programming, one of the knocks on like the online world, right? It's like how do you personalize like you've coached offline, right? So it's easy to like make adjustments on the fly. You're watching, you're changing, like it's way easier. Right? Like I almost think online programming is harder because you don't see them all the time. And so like
Yeah.
there's the feedback loop is so much longer. And so how do you one, let's talk about like how do you assess? Like does someone just fill out a form? Do you have them send in videos? Like what is your like how do you know what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing?
Yeah, so I used to do like the FMS assessment and have people film that, and but like they were just doing it wrong all the
Right.
time, and it looked like it, and it just didn't give me any valuable information. So now what I do is I have them fill out an assessment form, highlighting especially like what do you like, what do you not like, what are you trying to work on from a physical perspective? Is there anything that's like a deal breaker for you? What kind of injuries do you have? Are we rehabbing anything? Does anything feel tight or like or weird at all for you? So I get a lot of information up front. And then I'm, especially with people who want to change the way their body looks and they're not just trying to lose fat or work on fasting, or whatever it is, I have them send in a lot of videos, especially early on, where I'll be like, this one can get a little bit weird. Like, send me a video of your Bulgarian split squat. I want to see it from the
Mm-hmm.
side. I want to see it like this. Send me your goblet squat. Send me your rear delt fly. Send me X, Y, and Z. And then what's nice is that, like, it's just another touch point. So during the week, outside of our scheduled calls, I can do a quick Loom video, take 2 minutes to be like, all right, do you see how your arm is like that? I need that elbow a little bit higher up right here. You should feel that more in the upper back rather than in the neck. That's what we're looking
Mm-hmm.
for. You know, so giving people a little bit more specific feedback so that they're constantly kind of like staying in it. And it's not just like we check in on Monday and then we check in next Monday. So it's kind of like constantly like a drip, just like drip
Right.
coaching.
Do you is that like per person you're kind of or do you like have this built out into like let's say phase one of the $1 million body program? Do you have like okay on this day I need film of this exercise or is it more like kind of person by person?
It's real individual, and especially if someone's like, I have shoulder issues, and have them do like a prone row or a rear delt fly. I want to see that early on,
Mm-hmm.
so I just to make sure that they're not like doing things wrong or tweaking their stuff. So it's really dependent on like their injury history and goals,
Mm-hmm.
which ones I'll ask for. Plus the workouts do change kind of depending on what they're working on and what they have access to.
So do you work off of like a general template and then based upon someone's information that they give you, we're kind of tweaking things?
Yeah, I've got like six general templates that I'll play with, and so like, and each template has like between six and 18 programs within it. So I'll like I'll kind of label them like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then so like let's say you're on like a muscle building fat loss track and you have complete gym access. I've got a
Right.
workout like there's a 3 day per week and I've got a 4 day per week workout. So I'll go there and I'll take those and I'll be like, all right, well, this shoulder issue, so we're gonna ditch this. We're gonna ditch the overhead press. We're gonna switch to a high incline dumbbell press. We're gonna ditch the Y raise. We're gonna do more of a rear delt fly.
Right.
And so make those small tweaks within the program. And I was doing that all on this like all my programs were all single block exercises. I didn't have a warm up block and a workout block and a finisher block or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so since I've been playing with saving those, I think it's been getting a little bit more fun to do, especially kind of like the one-offs, the individual workouts. I'll just go get the recovery block, or I'll get the
Mm-hmm.
sprint block, or I'll get the ab block
Right.
and add that in.
Yeah,
And
I think
that's
it's
easy even with established like templated programs too. You're
right.
like, I want those out and I want this in.
Right. Yeah, that was I mean, that was when we were thinking about designing the workout builder. Like, I mean, we come at it as coaches, right? And so it's like most of our brains, most of our workouts work in these like sections, right? We have some sort of mobility, ramp, warm up, whatever you want to call it, right? You might have some power work, you might have some core work, you might have a strength block, you might have some energy system. And it's super annoying. Like if you have like cool energy system where they're doing multiple exercises and maybe more circuit stuff, to have to like program those one by one by one by one by one is just super annoying because it's like, oh, I've done this 50 times over. And so it's like, well, just put in that section, right? Um,
But also, like, it's not that annoying to write a whole, like, a new, like, 5 exercise circuit. You
mhm.
have your workout, your exercises saved. You have, like, a brief description already saved in there. It's so easy to add them in. Or if
Right.
you're like, man, he's already doing dumbbells. I need 2 more dumbbell exercises. You just press DB. You
Yeah.
see your list, and you're like, okay, that's where we're gonna go with to do a little bit more energy system work.
So for your people, like how often are you like communicating with them? So let's say that you program someone's like first phase, right? Are you telling, do you have like a message scheduled for that day, which is like, hey, I want you to film this exercise, or do you do it like in the call with that person? Like, how do you make sure that they actually remember to do it?
So on my calls, like one of the things I love about Coach Catalyst, like this is one of my favorite features, is the vault.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because in the vault, that's where I keep all of my notes. And if you look at my, like any of my clients that I've had for any substantial amount of time, I've got dozens of notes with thousands of words where I'm just typing stuff on the calls. And I know a lot of coaches now will use like AI transcription or something like that. But if I have this, like, so I love the dual monitor. So I'll have
Mm-hmm.
the screen with the people talking
Yep.
here, the vault right here, and then on this monitor below, I'll have their program metrics, whatever else I want. So I have the two things going. And then as they're talking, I'm just typing up relevant information. And that really helps me because it helps me stay focused on the client. So I'm not like tempted to go off into like the abyss and look at Instagram or like click my email or whatever else. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have tons and tons of notes to reflect back on. And then at the end of every, at the bottom of every notes, I do action steps. And my action steps as we go through them, I'm like, okay, hey, so I want me to fast next Wednesday. Hey, send me the rear delt exercise. I'm going to send you a new thing like that. We're going to add in a shoulder workout. So I'll put like, like Randy's responsible for X, Y, and Z. Nate is responsible for X, Y, and Z. And then I copy that and I paste it into a message that goes out right after our call. So they have exactly their steps for the following week until we connect again. So usually I want to like create some sort of connection point, even like off, like outside of the call. So I'll either schedule a message, I'll have my assistant coach follow up with them. My goal is always at least one touch point per week per client.
And as far as calls go, how often are you doing calls with clients?
High ticket clients get a call every single week. My mid tier clients get a call every month, kind of to recheck in and look at the new programming.
Okay. And so, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. If you had to look at the percentage of your business of high ticket, and let's talk about like actual numbers of clients, like high ticket, what percentage of your clients are high ticket versus mid ticket?
It usually ends up being about 10% are high ticket.
Hmm.
But the goal is always take them high ticket and then transition to mid ticket
Right.
after they understand the systems and everything else.
Right.
So like like most of my clients, probably like 80% of clients have been high ticket at some point, and then I just transition them to a lower ticket as I feel like they need less support
Right.
and they understand the verbiage, the
Yep.
expectations, how to do the workouts. They just
Which
don't
I
need as
which
much.
is, I think is a really good model where we have this, some people call it a signature program or something, right? That's more expensive because it's more time intensive and you can really dedicate the time someone needs to be successful for, I don't know, well, how long do you think people stay in high ticket? 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 6 months?
I do a 6 or 7 month program.
Okay.
And that seems to work for me because I find that at the 3 4 month mark, there's always something that happens. There's always an event, there's a vacation, they fall off in some capacity within the 3 and 4 month mark. I don't know
Okay.
why, but it just seems like it always happens. And if there's 3 more months of our program, it's a lot easier for them to be like, all right, we're getting back into it.
Yep.
Versus what I was seeing before when I was selling 3 month programs, they fall off at like, at week 10, and then they'd be like, well, the program's over. Like,
Right.
we only have a week left. And then then they're in the abyss. They're just gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked raising my prices a little bit and then giving them a longer time period to really acclimate to the point where like at the end of the 6 months, they're like, I don't think I need to be on a call every single week. I feel like I pretty much got it. I'm like, great. I have an awesome program that we can kind of transition into.
So do you structure your stuff like when you're selling at the beginning as a 6 month program, or is it like two 12-week phases?
A 6 month program.
Okay.
And I have 6 phases within that. Each phase takes as long as it takes. I don't have it like it's a month every single one. Like
Right.
first couple ones go a little faster, and then tracking takes a little bit longer because I want to see
Right.
more time onto that.
I mean, for people listening, I think just paying attention to some of the structural things here, like how you're going to execute it as a coach is going to be a little bit different, but these structural things of like phases, I think phases are really important in a coach's program because it kind of gives the client a roadmap on like, okay, here's where you're at, here's where you want to go, and here are the steps that we're going to take to get there. Right. And so there's always the here's what's next, here's what's next, here's what's next, here's what's next. And then we can keep a client for those 6 months, which I think is really, really, really solid. And then, I mean, then you move them into a lower ticket program. They have less hand holding, and that builds what we would call like your recurring revenue. How long can we keep people there then? Right. And so when you were just one-to-one, you said you have an assistant coach now. How many clients do you feel like you could manage well without wanting to like pull out your hair and have to work 24/7?
I got up to 100 clients.
Just
and that
you?
Was, yeah, and that was too much.
Yeah.
I was on Zoom calls all the time. I was like, I was not having fun.
Yeah.
I think about 50 is kind of like the sweet spot, as long as I've got like 10 of them on a high ticket, and then the other 40 are lower ticket, less calls, less touch points.
Right.
Like 50 high ticket, I just couldn't do it. It would be too much time. Even though it's only 25 hours per week of like literal calls, it's all the other stuff, the tracking, the checking in, and stuff like that. And then just 25 hours a week of Zoom calls would explode.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What how much time do you think you spend per week per client for like a high ticket client?
Probably about an hour.
Okay. And your
Between
calls, do you
calls,
do the calls
follow-ups.
30 minutes
Yep.
for the calls? Okay, 30 minutes with the calls and then follow up touch points throughout the week.
Yeah.
And then for
And then,
your
that could be like 4 days of 5 minutes.
Right.
Just checking in, just like looking at their stuff, making sure.
Right.
Hey, did you hit those with water? Did you get to bed at 10 p.m. like you said? That sort of thing.
Are you looking at pretty much every workout that your high ticket clients do, like reviewing the data they input, notes they input, all of that?
No.
Okay. How do you do you assess it, like every couple of weeks? How do you look at it?
Oh, so I'm not checking like every workout every single day. Before I get onto a call with them, I give myself about 8 minutes to go through, see what we talked about last time, look through the vault, look at our action steps, look at their actions in the app. Then I look at the workouts, especially if like they're not checked off, or like
Yep.
they're checked off, but like I'm not seeing any improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take a peek at them in like
Yep.
the couple of minutes leading up to the call, but I'm not going through on Wednesday after they did chest day and looking at it at that point.
Right. Not looking at each one individually and like giving feedback every time they do a workout.
No, that's like I don't know. That seems like too much to like balance in my brain.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has kind of different systems, right? And I mean, you've built a great business. And so, like, obviously, the product that you're providing or the solution that you're providing is working, or else people wouldn't, hang around, right? They wouldn't stay. And so, like, we can always tell by our retention rates. Like, if we're not retaining people, right, or they're not finishing our program, there's something wrong with our program or something that we're doing. And then we just need to adjust that as we go along and using that as a good barometer on are we producing a good product.
And that's
at the end of
the
day.
worst, is like actually taking a look at yourself and being like it's not the client, it's the program. I am the problem. And I've
Right.
had to do that multiple times, and that's always such a shot to the ego, where I'm like, I'm smart, I'm good at programming, I'm a great personal trainer, and then like people are falling off or not doing it, and you're like, well, that's
Well, I mean, a piece of it is understanding your market, right? Like,
No.
so this comes back to like really, really understanding who you're working with, and the narrower you can get, the easier this becomes, because someone may not be better for these types of people. It might be they need what's the one thing that they need to do, right? And your goal is to figure out the one thing and then hold them accountable to executing that one thing. I think the trap we fall into as coaches sometimes, we're like, well, to get to where you want to get to, well, we really need to be, 3 strength sessions a week. We need to do like 2 hours of zone 2. We need a high intensity. We need to sleep 8 hours. We need to eat more vegetables. We need, 200 grams of protein. And so to the person that doesn't care about this kind of stuff, that just becomes like, oh, okay, this is too much.
one thing that I think that's been helpful for me is I put in my onboarding form, like, what would you like to be held accountable to? And so I put down like kind of what I consider my 7 daily investments between like the correct breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drinking a gallon of water per day, writing down your 3 critical tasks for tomorrow in the PM. It's great for entrepreneurs and dads. And then also things like getting to bed on time, reading a book, doing like whether it's like doing sales calls and outreach. And I give them a list of things. And most of the time people will check like 8 boxes. They're like, I want to be held accountable to these. And I go, okay, now like with those 8, how can we narrow those down to 3 or 4? I don't want to give you more than 4 to start. So it forces them to really like collapse into what is like the key needle movers in their life and their situation, and how can I help keep them accountable. Like I had a guy who was like, I want to do 10 outreaches for my real estate business every day, so that goes in his calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's super cool. Well, and the benefit to that is if they're getting guidance around the things, right? But they're checking them off, and so they're kind of raising their hand and saying, I want you to hold me accountable to this. And so like it feels like it's coming from them, right? So they're more likely to actually follow through and execute on it. And then if they're not executing on it, that you had that conversation as a coach of like, is this even important to you? Like, do we
yeah,
even want to be working on this? Maybe this is a later thing and not a right now thing.
yeah. Usually I add those in like on a daily basis for like 90 days. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of 90 days, I kind of reassess. I'm like, hey, so we're done with this one right now. Do you feel like we need more of that? Think we need to move on to something
Right.
else? Where are you at? 'Cause I always tell them like, I don't want to nag you. I don't want to open this app and be like, all the
Right.
things, because I feel like when I had 10 things going at a single time and then a workout and a mobility session and that sort of thing, people were just like getting like glazing over when they would look at their apps.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the art of coaching, right? It's figuring out what is important and what your client needs, and then just holding them accountable to executing that. So, your kind of mid-ticket client, how much time do you feel like you have to dedicate to that client every week?
I'm probably dedicating about an hour per month to those clients.
Okay. So, 15, 20 minutes a week type of thing.
Yeah.
And so is that just like a little follow-up, little checkpoint, little check-in each week type of thing?
Well, like so, I'm spending some time on like their monthly program, checking with them, like following up on like some like whatever questions they had, doing any sort of like that's a really good time to dive into those, like really honing in on their form on exercises, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But that is like kind of the responsibility of my assistant coach. So he spends more time with those people. So like if they're asking questions, he's following up. If they're not checking in, he's asking them how they're doing. Hey, you missed a couple workouts. So I've kind of given him the responsibility of the mid-tier clients. I still do the calls, but he does all the interim check-ins and follow-ups.
Got it. So much of your time then is spent with the higher ticket clients and taking care of them.
Yeah, sales, marketing.
Right. And then, yeah, that whole other piece to the business that is
That fun thing.
right is probably multiple calls in and of itself, just talking through some of that stuff. But okay, interesting. How many clients did you have, or when did you feel like you needed to bring on an assistant coach? Because I think that's a common thing that coaches ask about.
When I had the 100, then I was like, I'm dying. I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And that was interesting because like I feel like I had a bunch of people come in from a challenge, and then they ended up like staying like 3 months, and then I dropped back down to like 70. So I was able to drop some of the clients off, bring the assistant coach on, and then train him up kind of on how I wanted him to interact with clients, how like kind of like some of our SOPs, our core values of the company. And then I was able to just kind of like slowly be like, all right, you do this now. Here's how we program. Here's how we get back to people. Here's what we do. And it was great because he wasn't a personal trainer beforehand.
Got it.
He was in sales. And so it was kind of like no bad habits. I was able to just give him 100% of my mindset and
Right.
methodologies. And he's been taking that and running with it.
How did you find him?
Craigslist ad.
Craigslist ad.
I had put out a couple, like I was really working with like the Arizona State University, and I was trying to get an intern off of like from their business school or their physio
Right.
kinesiology school, and like none of those ever really panned out for me, and so then I was like, let me just throw the same thing up on Craigslist and see what I got. Got a lot of really bad options.
I bet you did.
Yeah, a lot of
Oh.
fake influencers wanted in.
That's fascinating. That's awesome. Cool. No, I love it. So, I mean, I want to kind of keep these short, and I think you provided some some really good insight. And for anybody listening, really think about like the principles, right? The principles are the same across every great business. And so some things from my takeaways from Nate's stuff today, I think naming is really important, giving things meaning. I always give the example of P90X, right? P90X doesn't mean jack, right? It's high intensity interval training and like excessive amounts of plyometrics, right? Like, I mean, that's like what it is. And so, but P90X, like people gravitate with it, right? It's there. CrossFit is another really good example. What the hell is CrossFit? Like the word doesn't really mean anything, but people can resonate with that thing, and then they create all these other kind of connotations along with that thing. And so, um, I think naming like phases, that kind of stuff gives people like context in what we're working on in this particular phase, right? You kind of name even like workouts, like giving them different naming nomenclature so people understand like what's the purpose of it, right? Like when we give things really unique names, we remember them as well. It makes it very memorable, which I think is it was super super cool. Um, Other things that I think are good takeaways: working in phases of your particular program. So building out kind of like these templates of phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, and then we're adjusting those and tweaking those. And like for you, my guess is you have different templates for the client that has gym access, the client that is only working out at home, the client that has like a minimal gym. And so like you've defined like where are the places that my client could potentially be working out, and all right, let's create stuff in those realms so I'm not having to like create from scratch all the time. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah.
So so creating those phases through there, and then like constantly I think innovating the business. And so just because you start somewhere doesn't mean that's where you have to keep going. And so you listen to the clients, you look at the brand, and you continue to make it better and better, but don't try to build the brand before launching in this world,
100%. Ready,
right?
fire,
Like
aim for sure.
exactly. And so like what people are building here, you're not building like the next Nike right now, right? Like you need 5 clients, right? And then you need
Yeah.
10 clients, and then you need 15 clients, and then let's start building a brand around that stuff. But you can get 5 and 10 clients without having much of a brand, right? That's just some hard work, some boots on the ground, providing a ton of value, right?
Conversations.
Lots of conversations, right? Track how many conversations you're having. Like that's a great KPI.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And
any
I will
last
say
words?
that,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I will say kind of going back to like the naming things and then also like the phases. One thing I think has helped me with a lot of retention, because I've got clients who now stick around kind of for like 2 years and 3 months is like my average right now, which
That's
is,
so. Just for anyone listening, like that's massive. Like that's like most online businesses are like 6 months.
and so that's new for me. I feel like for a long time, I like it was like if I get someone to stick around for a year, I was doing good. And now I think I'm doing a real much better job because I'm selling them into a larger program up front.
Hmm.
I'm really building that. Like I'm trying to build the relationship, build the rapport, and then like build the value. But then I'm also future pacing all the time. Hey, right now we're in the get off sugar phase. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do the next 2 weeks. But here's what's coming. We've got the get moving phases coming, and we're gonna be working a lot on that. So we get to the end of the program, like, hey, we're in the get clear phase. We're definitely like trying to work on your recovery, work on your sleep, and then but the next phase is about getting strong. We're going to drop your reps. We're going to increase your time under tension. We're going to make sure that you're building muscle in this phase. And then what we're going to be looking forward to in January of next year is we're going to do the get optimized phase. So that's going to be some of those advanced strategies for focus, longevity, performance. So really get excited for that. That's coming down in January. So I'm always trying to stay in their ear about what's happening next. So like keeping the excitement high,
Right.
keeping it fun, and then think about the Game of Thrones. Like you're always excited for the next episode because you're like, what's Daenerys gonna do with her dragons next time?
Right.
She's crazy. Who's gonna be naked?
So, do you for your mid ticket? Does everyone kind of follow the same phases? Like, hey, everybody, we're all doing this together this month. We're all doing this together next
No,
month.
everyone's
Or
on their own. Everyone's on their own path. And then
okay,
sometimes like we've gone through 6 phases and people are just like, yeah, just keep me going. I just want to do workouts and have some accountability.
yep.
And
So
so we're
it's
not necessarily like in a phase at that point. They're just down for the ride. They're getting good
right,
results, checking in, taking
yeah,
their progress pictures, seeing improvements,
right. No,
grinding.
cool. I like it, man. Any last pieces of advice for the budding online coaches out there?
Get your names in place, and then when you're on your sales calls, you go, hey, like so my program has 3 phases, 6 phases, 5 phases. The first one is this, and this, and then you go, is that what you were looking for? Most people have no idea what they're looking for, but just the fact that you've given them like pillars, phases, or stages or whatever gives them something to wrap their mind around. And that is how I've delivered every single sales close in the last like 6 years. And I have like an 80% close rate. Like I kill on the phone. And I think it's always like I go, if you don't mind, I'd love to share with you specifically how I work with clients. And I go, okay, right. So I got permission. Then I go, all right, the $1 Million Body Up program has 3 phases. Usually what I go is the first pillar is going to be strength. I want to make sure that you're getting your workouts in. The second pillar is going to be nutrition. I want to make sure that you have a sustainable nutrition program that's going to give you the results you want and make you feel really good, have high energy. And the third phase, usually accountability, but it's always custom to them. Hey, you said you needed more work on mobility. That's what we're going to be working on your third pillar. And so just like, even if that's not like your 6 stages of your program, give them something tangible to wrap their minds around when you close, and then go, is that what you were hoping for? And everybody always goes, yeah, that's about what I was hoping for.
Right.
Cool. All right, next thing is I just got to get you set up for an onboarding call, and then we can process that credit card payment.
Right. Yeah. I think it ultimately it's clarity, right? You're highlighting the path that you're going to take them down, right? And if you have the right person in front of them and the pain is strong enough, it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then if you also have, which they've probably done some research, here's undeniable evidence that I've done this with other people and that I can help you be successful with this as well, then it's just kind of like, right, Visa or MasterCard or American Express. But,
and that's when it's fun, and you're not like trying to like pull teeth.
right, exactly.
You don't feel like you're doing sales. You just feel like you're helping people along their journey.
100%. I love it. Well, Nate, I appreciate it for coming on. Thanks, brother.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.